What's up, Taiwan? I'm Joyce with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Former Taiwan President Ma Ying-jeou is set to visit China for the fourth time since leaving office in 2016, leading a group of Taiwanese students on a two-week trip. The visit has drawn criticism from Taiwan's government, led by the DPP. Cadence Quaranta has more.
Another controversial visit to China for former Taiwan President Ma Ying-jeou, leading a delegation of Taiwanese students on a two-week trip across the strait in mid-June. During this time, they'll attend the Straits Forum, a large event organized annually by the Chinese government, framed by Beijing as helping to promote cross-strait exchanges, but criticized by Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party as being part of China's united front tactics to influence Taiwan. The trip, organized through Ma's foundation.
上礼拜已经跟这个党中央来汇报，我想党内不应该有压力。如果今天我们台湾的主流民意是两岸交流的话，那国民党应该反过来，我觉得我们这个出访是对他们是有加分的。
This is Ma's fourth trip to China since leaving office in 2016. The former head of Taiwan's now opposition Kuomintang, Ma has always been seen as friendly with China, promoting closer ties during his presidency and afterwards. In recent years, through his foundation, he has led groups of Taiwanese students on 3 visits to China and has twice brought delegations of Chinese students to Taiwan, often framing these exchanges and communications, especially among young people, as key to cross-strait peace. China has said they welcome this visit.
当前台海形势复杂严峻，但两岸交流合作不能停、不能断、不能少。 我们一如既往地欢迎台湾各界人士和广大台湾同胞常来大陆走走、参访交流，与我们携手加强交流合作，传承弘扬中华优秀传统文化，致力推动中华民族伟大复兴。
But these trips are controversial in Taiwan. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, the government body that manages relations with China, has criticized the trip, calling it inappropriate. In a statement, the council says that the Straits Forum is part of the Chinese Communist Party's united front tactics to influence Taiwan and to promote unification. It accused Ma of cooperating with the CCP's political manipulation, warning him against becoming a, quote, model of Beijing's united front work. Ma's visits, which have in the past included meetings with Chinese government officials and even Chinese President Xi Jinping in 2024, come amid heightened cross-strait tensions. Formal government-to-government communication has been cut off since 2016, and Beijing has criticized current President Lai Ching-te, calling him a separatist. Lai has stepped up efforts to combat what he calls growing Chinese infiltration in Taiwan.
For these youth tours that are run by the Ma Ying-jeou Foundation, I think they're kind of a reflection of the state of cross-strait relations with the Chinese government, with the PRC, seeking ways to try to find influence through what they call people-to-people ties, 民间交流, with those that are sort of aligned with the KMT or the pan blue side of the political spectrum, while continuing to try to freeze out the Taiwan's actual government.
Some also think these trips may be a way for Ma to promote a sense of Chinese identity among young people in Taiwan, amid growing efforts by the Chinese Communist Party itself to influence Taiwanese young people. Apart from the Straits Forum, Ma and the student group will also take part in cultural activities and learn about the Silk Road, according to his foundation. Going ahead, despite ongoing controversy over these trips and what they could mean for the future of cross-strait relations. Klein Wong and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
A Chinese ship captain has been given 3 years behind bars for cutting one of Taiwan's undersea communications cables. The captain was accused of using the anchor of his Togo flagship to snap a cable off Taiwan's southwest coast in February. The captain said he did drop anchor in the restricted area, but said he did not intend to damage any cables. Other crew members were not charged due to lack of evidence and were deported. Several of Taiwan's undersea cables have been damaged in recent years, with some concerns it could be part of China's gray zone tactics against Taiwan. In India, police say over 100 bodies have been recovered after a passenger plane crashed shortly after takeoff from the city of Ahmedabad. Air India flight AI-171 bound for London went down near the airport. It was carrying 242 people on board. The plane collided with a building and burst into flames. The number of deaths has not been confirmed, and people injured in the crash have been taken to the hospital. Taiwan's workers might have a little more money in their pockets. New figures from the Budget and Statistics Bureau show average salaries are up more than 3% compared to last year. But what does that actually mean for everyday people? Aichi spoke to labor rights researcher Roy Ng to find out.
Taiwan's Budget and Statistics Department released its latest monthly wage report shows there's still a gender pay gap in Taiwan's average wages. What's your take on this?
I think first and foremost, it shows that there is still some form of gender discrimination going on in spite of the achievements Taiwan have made in terms of gender equality in the broad society. And I think one major reason is that there is a lack of wage transparency, salary transparency, where it's not possible for people to have a good sense of what their counterparts at work are being paid. And it is therefore not possible for people to demand for higher and fairer wages.
Taiwan's average wage is still relatively lower compared to other advanced economies like Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. How do you see this wage differential affecting Taiwan's competitive position in the international market?
I think when Taiwan looks at the competitiveness of the economy, it doesn't tend to look at it in terms of attracting talent, but in terms of how much it can sell its products and exports to other countries. And therefore, I think the idea among the government policymakers over the last 2 to 3 decades has been that they need to lower wages or suppress wages in order for Taiwan to be competitive. And I think there is a huge concern that the low wages are in part to play in terms of how Taiwan's value-added growth is not able to catch up. And if you compare wage in terms of wages, advanced countries with higher wages actually do have higher value production. And it makes sense because research says that in countries where there are higher wages, workers are more motivated, they feel more committed, more engaged to their work. They are willing to think of ways to innovate, to help the company innovate and build higher value, higher innovation, and higher priced products that can allow them to sell at higher profits. And I think the larger problem is that Taiwanese who have the capabilities, who are skilled, who are well educated, they tend to go overseas if they're not able to receive the high salary that their quality of skills, their capabilities demand. And there are many Taiwanese who do possess such capabilities because Taiwan actually ranks one of the highest in terms of OECD PISA scores. So we are losing a huge amount of Taiwanese talent who could stay in Taiwan, as well as foreign talent who can come into Taiwan.
While Taiwan has seen an increase in average wages by over 3% year-on-year, inflation has also eroded the real purchasing power of salaries. In your opinion, where do you see Taiwan's wages heading in the long term? And are we on a positive trajectory?
So when we look at average wages increasing, well, it is good that it is increasing faster. Is it adequate? And that is a major question. We are sending out the signal that the knowledge economy, the kind of skills, higher skills that we want from workers is not valued. This is a wrong signal we're sending to workers and even to the development of businesses. If we want Taiwan to be a more competitive economy where we're able to move into the knowledge service economy, to move our manufacturing sector into a higher value manufacturing sector that can compete with countries in Western Europe, with South Korea, with Japan on the same level. I think it is not adequate for the government to champion that they have seen higher increases compared to the last 20 years, last 30 years. They need to be able to find meaning and value in how the wage increases actually feed back into the inflation, into the cost of living pressures of individuals, as well as how it can transform Taiwan beyond just looking at the low-cost economy, but moving Taiwan into a more expansionary phase.
That was labor rights researcher and activist Roy Ng. Reports of domestic violence have surged over the past 6 years, baffling groups trying to help survivors. Despite theories and suggestions, the problem remains hard to root out. John Van Trieste reports.
A social problem is growing behind closed doors in ordinary homes. Since at least 2019, the number of reported domestic violence cases has been increasing year by year. Last year, there were 138,859 cases reported, up over 33% from 2019. Though the violence doesn't discriminate by gender, women are consistently more likely to be victims and report it. This rise in cases perplexes groups like the Modern Women's Foundation, a group that offers support to victims along with family law services. But one theory is that violence is cyclical and gets amplified as children in violent households grow up.
成长在这个受暴家庭当中，所以他目睹很多的一些暴力，所以这些暴力当然就会影响他的心理的一个状态。
And there seems to be some evidence for this. The group says cases of minors assaulting parents or other older relatives is at 3%, with 12 to 16-year-olds the most likely to be violent. It has some ideas about preventing conflict in the first place.
现在孩子真的有一些很怕被念，你一直念，他可能就会暴走，可能就会有其他的这些行为出现。那在这样的状况之下，就是说我们有一些转化，比如说在这样的情况之下，我们可以先不要去念它，让这些东西可以有一个别的出口的用什么样的方式再来就是了解孩子的情况。
But the private nature of domestic violence makes this a problem that's difficult to tackle at its roots, and many cases likely go unreported. Even the Modern Women's Foundation says they find this trend puzzling, making tackling this silent epidemic a difficult practical challenge. Hank Xu and John Van Trieste in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
When it comes to sports, baseball and basketball are big in Taiwan, but the country also has a budding football presence too. A popular Danish football club is in the country looking to bring its youth development program here. Leslie Liao reports.
One of Denmark's premier football clubs is in Taiwan looking for cooperation opportunities. The club in question is Brondby Football Club, and specifically they're looking to bring their youth development program known as Masterclass to Taiwan. The Brondby Youth Development Program has been observing Taiwan's youth football scene, getting a feel for what the sport is like in the country.
So the trip here is because we want to get some change of knowledge between FC Vikings, Taiwan's football, and I hope that we could maybe give some inspiration so we can see Taiwan's football also grow about grassroots football. We can see more kids, I hope so, will play football in Taiwan.
The person who brokered this connection between Brondby and Taiwan is local football coach Johnny Nielsen. Nielsen started his coaching career in Taiwan by challenging the country's traditional coaching concepts, which he believed focused too much on intense physical conditioning. In a country where other sports like baseball and basketball are more mainstream than football, Nielsen believes the sport has its place here.
I've seen a lot of changes. When I first came here, I think there was like 5 clubs in Taipei. I think now there's over 100 clubs in Taipei with kids playing football. So it's growing, it's getting there, it's getting better.
Today's conference doesn't celebrate any official cooperation plans yet, but it does mark Brondby's presence here in the country. Taiwan is a place where the team would like to bring its brand of winning football development to the local youth in a bid to elevate the country's football standards. Alex Tseng and Leslie Liao in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we head to Brazil for a religious and cultural festival. I'm Joyce. Take care. See you next time.
Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus. For more stories from around the world, including the Solomon Islands, download the TaiwanPlus app.